My family chuckled when my little girl received a "try harder next year" gift bag at a gathering. They didn't find it funny when I stopped covering their expenses and sent out receipts detailing years of financial support to everyone in the family. At my cousin's birthday celebration, my sister handed out gift bags to everyone who mattered. My daughter's bag had a sticky note that read, "Try harder next year." We didn't make a scene, we simply left. The following morning, my sister opened her front door and screamed so loudly that the neighbor called the police. I wish I could say I was shocked. I wish I could say that when I saw what they had given my daughter, my blood ran cold or that time slowed down, or whatever it is people say in those dramatic movie moments. But the truth is, it felt like something I had been anticipating, not in a hopeful way, but in a heavy, dread-filled, of course this is coming kind of way. The party was hosted at my sister's house, which looked like a Pinterest board come to life, enormous balloon arches in perfectly coordinated colors, a dessert table that seemed to have its own PR manager, matching t-shirts for the birthday twins that proclaimed "Born to Shine," and kids running around with hand-stitched party bags clutched like treasures. My daughter held onto hers tightly. She was 7 and wore the sparkly headband she had chosen that morning, the one she said made her feel like a galaxy. She was nervous before we arrived, she always is in large crowds. But she practiced saying "Happy Birthday" in the car twice. She even made 2 little cards herself, one for each cousin, drawing little stars on them and signing them with love. I was proud of her just for showing up. My husband and I lingered near the food table, exchanging polite small talk with people we barely knew. I tried to ignore how my sister barely acknowledged us, how my mother gave me that brittle smile that said, "Don't start anything," and how my father nodded once before returning to his task of carving ham as if it required surgical precision. Then came the moment they handed out the gift bags. Each one had the child's name in glittery letters, stuffed animals, bubble wands, personalized water bottles, and tiny keychains with initials. One by one, the kids beamed and tore through them like it was Christmas morning. Then they handed one to my daughter, a plain white paper bag, no glitter, no name, just a single sticky note slapped crookedly across the front in my sister's handwriting, "Try harder next year." My daughter blinked at it, as if she were reading it wrong, as if there might be something inside that would explain the joke. She reached in and found a broken crayon, a used eraser, and a wrapped peppermint that looked like it had been rattling around in someone's purse. That was it. I saw her throat tighten. She glanced at me, and I felt her small fingers inch toward mine, as if she were bracing for something, as if she thought she had done something wrong. Then came the laughter from the adults. My sister laughed first, that high, sharp laugh she does when she wants everyone to know she's in charge of the joke. "She's been acting up lately," she said, waving it off like it was cute. "This is just a little wake-up call." My mother chuckled, saying, "Honestly, it's good for her. You coddle her too much." Even my dad grunted some half-laugh, as if it was all just awkward but harmless. The other kids laughed too. They didn't know why kids never really do, but they followed the lead. My daughter smiled that tight, trembling smile that kids wear when they're trying not to cry. My husband looked at me not with shock, but with something quieter, steadier. He crouched beside her, took the bag gently from her hands, and said, "You don't need this. Let's go get some real cake." We stood up. I didn't say a word, and neither did he. We took her hands and walked out of that house as if we were escaping a burning building. No one tried to stop us, no one called after us, not even my sister. At home, my daughter sat on the couch, staring at the glitter stars on her birthday cards as if they might rearrange themselves into a reason. She asked, "Was it because I didn't say thank you fast enough?" I replied, "No, sweetheart. It was because some people forget how to be kind." She nodded, pressing the cards to her chest as if they might guard her heart. She fell asleep on the couch, curled up under the soft throw blanket her dad had given her last Christmas, the one that says, "You were safe, you were strong, you were loved. Look suspicious next time. Try to smile more and act normal." At 17, I finally mustered the courage to tell my parents that I thought I might be depressed. My mom rolled her eyes and said, "That's the new trend, isn't it? Everyone thinks they're depressed. If you're bored, find a hobby." Emma told me I was being dramatic, then borrowed my phone charger and never returned it. By the time I left for college, I was numb. I didn't expect them to come for move-in day, and they didn't disappoint. They mailed me a card a week late with $25 and a sticky note that said, "Don't blow it." I didn't blow it. I got through school, found therapy, and learned how to name things: emotional neglect, scapegoating, passive-aggressive control. I learned how to unlearn it. When I met my husband, I was still afraid of being too much. I apologized for crying during a movie, and he just handed me a tissue and said, "That part hit hard, huh?" Like it was the most normal thing in the world. He was the first person who ever asked what I wanted for my birthday and actually got it right, not because he guessed, but because he listened. When I told him about my family, I downplayed it, made it sound quirky. He didn't push, but the first time he met them, he squeezed my hand under the table after dinner and said, "You weren't exaggerating." I let them back into my life when we had our daughter. I wanted her to have a big family, cousins, holidays, grandparents who doted on her. I wanted her to have what I didn't. It started slowly. My sister began commenting on my daughter's clothes. "She dresses a little offbeat, doesn't she?" My mom insisted that my daughter should hug everyone, even when she didn't want to. "Don't be rude, sweetie. Give Uncle Bill a proper hug." My dad made jokes about her being soft when she cried at loud noises. Better toughen up if she wants to make it in this family. I tried to explain. I told them she had sensory processing challenges and needed support, not shame, that she was doing her best. They rolled their eyes. "You're overreacting. She's fine." Emma called me a snowplow parent, said I was raising a future doormat. And when I set boundaries, I became the problem, the difficult one, the dramatic one. Every time I stood up for my daughter, it was met with the same tactics they used on me: minimization, mockery, cold silence. Sometimes they even piled on me, which was worse. "She just wants to feel important," my mother whispered once to Emma, not realizing I was within earshot. "Let her have this." It was as if advocating for my child was a phase, a tantrum. I let it go. I let it go more times than I can count because I kept hoping it would get better, that they would come around, that maybe this time they would see her, really see her. But they didn't. They saw themselves, their need to feel superior, their desire to maintain the hierarchy that kept them comfortable. My daughter was just the next in line for the same treatment they had given me. Only now I knew what it was, and now I had a choice. I could keep giving them chances, keep letting them break her bit by bit the way they broke me, or I could stop the cycle. I chose her. I chose me. And tomorrow, they would understand what that meant. We didn't sleep much that night. My daughter eventually drifted off, her fingers still curled around the birthday card she'd made for her cousins. I stayed up on the couch, watching the cursor blink on my screen as if it were daring me to finish what I'd started. At 4:07 a.m., I emailed the landlord, the one who manages the duplex my sister lives in. I explained that I would no longer be paying the monthly supplement. We had agreed to that arrangement unofficially, but the landlord knew my name and knew the rent always came from our account. He replied within 20 minutes, "Understood. I'll notify her of the updated balance." At 4:49 a.m., my husband drafted the letter to the loan company about the car. It was our name on the documents, our credit on the line, our money that made the down payment. Emma had defaulted twice before we stepped in. This time, we didn't step in, we stepped out. At 6:02 a.m., we printed everything: texts, emails, screenshots of group messages where my daughter was called difficult, where Emma wrote, "She's going to be just like her mom, oversensitive and exhausting." There was even a voice memo, a clip from Christmas 2 years ago when my mother. The initial scream, the flurry of texts, and the failed attempts at guilt, things went dark for a moment. I thought maybe that was it, maybe they had finally gotten the message. They hadn't. 10 days after the front door folder drop, my daughter came home from school with a note in her backpack from Emma. It was on pastel stationery with little hearts on the edges, as if it were meant for a child. Inside, the message was short: "If you ever feel sad or confused, remember Auntie Emma loves you. You can call me anytime, even if your mom says no." My daughter looked up at me, confused. Did I do something wrong? I felt the fury rise in my throat before I could stop it. This wasn't just about boundaries anymore, this was manipulation, targeted, deliberate, and low. I called the school immediately. It turned out my sister had used one of her friend's names to gain access to drop something off for a niece, no ID check, no oversight, just a sticky smile and a name. That afternoon, I filed a formal no-contact order with the school, the district, and the police. I sent a cease and desist to both my sister and my parents. My lawyer sent a follow-up. 2 days later, a fake account started tagging me on social media, calling me ungrateful and posting blurry childhood photos with captions like, "Some people forget who raised them." Another anonymous message read, "Just remember, kids grow up. One day she'll know what you did." That was the final crack. I sent everything to my lawyer, who forwarded it to law enforcement. My sister posted a crying selfie captioned, "When your family turns on you, cue the sympathy parade." But then the truth started leaking quietly, one aunt, then a cousin, then another cousin. Screenshots circulated, voicemails were replayed, and people saw the receipts the same way I had. My parents didn't take it well. They tried to rally the extended family with an emergency Zoom call. I didn't attend, but apparently, when someone asked why I hadn't been invited to Grandpa's birthday last year, my mother froze. Someone else asked why Emma had been dipping into the family emergency fund when she was the only one with a stable salary. Another asked about the birthday party, if the story going around was really true. It was. By the end of the call, 4 people had quietly left the meeting. My parents stopped posting photos of family events, and my sister deleted her account. Then came the letter, a desperate, rambling thing from my mom, written in blue ink on monogrammed paper. Family is messy. We made mistakes, but at the end of the day, we are all we have. Don't punish everyone forever for one misunderstanding. Your daughter will regret this distance, so will you. I didn't respond. Instead, I framed the letter and hung it beside the sticky note that started it all, "Try harder next year." Then I helped my daughter hang fairy lights around her new bed. She picked the soft ones, the ones that changed color slowly, like breathing. Her breathing had changed to easier now, softer, not tight and guarded like before. She made new friends, 2 girls from art class, sweet, curious, gentle souls who didn't laugh when she needed to cover her ears or take breaks. She started sleeping through the night. One morning, she told me, "My heart doesn't feel like it's buzzing anymore." I hugged her tightly, she squeaked. Then one last thing happened. At the end of the school year, her class hosted a family day. Students could invite one adult to sit with them, eat cookies, and see their art projects. She chose me, of course. Her project was a painting abstract, all swirling galaxies and soft pink comets. In the corner, she had written in black paint, "Safe is better than big." On the drive home, I asked if she wanted to stop for ice cream. She said, yes, then paused. "Mom." "Yeah, baby? You did the right thing. Even if they call you mean, even if they never talk to us again, you did the right thing." I blinked hard against the lump in my throat. "Thanks, sweetheart. That means everything." She leaned back in her seat, smiling. Later that night, I checked my email one last time before bed. There was one new message from Emma, no subject line, no salutation, just 6 words, "Are you happy now? You won." I didn't respond, I didn't need to. But she was wrong. I didn't win. I walked away, and for the first time in my life, I didn't look back. 6 months later, I received an unexpected letter in the mail, not from Emma or my parents, but from my Aunt Maggie. The relief of recognition was profound. I wasn't crazy, I wasn't too sensitive. This was a family legacy, carefully maintained and passed down like a poison heirloom. I wrote to Aunt Maggie, thanking her for the gift of context. We began a correspondence that eventually led to visits. My daughter took to her immediately, fascinated by her collection of unusual rocks and her stories about traveling alone through Europe in her 60s after her divorce. "She doesn't make my ears hurt," my daughter explained, which was high praise from her. Almost a year after the birthday party incident, Emma's financial situation reached a breaking point. Their car was repossessed, and they downsized to a smaller apartment. My parents helped them, of course, but without my contributions, the safety net was thinner than they had grown accustomed to. Through the family grapevine, I heard rumors of counseling and tearful conversations about patterns of behavior. I didn't know if I believed it. People often confuse consequences with enlightenment. Then came the email from my father, short, awkward, clearly uncomfortable with vulnerability. "We've been seeing someone, a therapist. Your mother doesn't know I'm writing this. We were wrong. I was wrong. I don't expect forgiveness, I just wanted you to know." I showed it to my husband. He read it twice. "Do you want to respond?" he asked. "I don't know," I said honestly. Part of me thought it was just another manipulation, and the other part hoped it was real but knew it didn't change anything. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I watched my daughter flourish in an environment free from constant judgment. Her teacher noted improvements in her confidence, she participated more in class discussions. She even joined a children's theater group for kids with sensory sensitivities. The director sent me a video of her first performance. She played a star in a solar system play, delivering her line, "Even small stars shine bright," perfectly, without a trace of the anxiety that used to make her voice tremble. 3 weeks after my father's email, I finally replied, "I'm glad you're getting help. I hope it brings you peace. We are doing well and are happy. This isn't an invitation back into our lives, but I wanted you to know that we're okay, better than okay." He didn't respond, which was actually a good sign. It meant he respected the boundary. 2 years after the birthday party, we moved to a different city for my husband's job, a fresh start in a place with no memories, no chances of awkward grocery store run-ins with extended family, no schools where my sister might show up. Our new house had a garden. My daughter and I planted sunflowers and sweet peas and watched them grow. She named each sunflower after a planet. The tallest was Jupiter, and the smallest, which she tended with extra care, was Pluto. "Even though they say it's not a planet anymore," she explained, "it still matters." On her 9th birthday, we had a small party with her new friends, no elaborate Pinterest decorations, just homemade cupcakes with blue frosting and star-shaped sprinkles, games in the backyard, and a piñata filled with tiny crystals and chocolates. When it was time for gift bags, she insisted on helping. She picked everything herself: tiny notebooks with constellation covers, pencils with planets on them, and a small jar of glow-in-the-dark stars for each friend. As she carefully arranged them, making sure each bag had equal contents, she paused. "Mom?" "Yes, sweetheart? Do you ever miss them, Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Emma?" I considered lying, making it simple, but we'd promised each other truth always. "Sometimes I miss who I hoped they could be," I said, "but not who they were." She nodded, satisfied with the answer, then went back to her task, humming softly, safe in the knowledge that in our home, every gift was given with love, no strings attached, no lessons to be learned except one: she was enough, exactly as she was. Sometimes I still wonder if I should have said more at that party or if leaving in silence was the loudest thing I could have done. I wonder what my daughter will remember years from now and what she won't have to unlearn because I stopped it in time. 3 years after we moved away, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Emma. New number. "I'm in town for a conference. Can we meet?" My first instinct was to block the number. My husband saw my face and knew immediately. "Emma?" he asked. I nodded. "You don't owe her anything," he said. "I know, but curiosity is a powerful thing." After a sleepless night, I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop downtown, public, neutral territory. I arrived early, chose a table with a clear view of the door and exits. From childhood trauma. Turns out Mom and Dad did a number on both of us, just in different ways. I took a sip of my coffee. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm trying to make amends," she said, "not to get you back in my life. I don't expect that, but because I need to acknowledge what I did." She pulled out a notebook and flipped it open. "I made a list of all the times I hurt you and your daughter. The birthday party was just the last in a long pattern. I was jealous of how you protected her. No one ever protected me like that." A tear slid down her cheek, but she wiped it away quickly, no dramatic sobbing, just acknowledgement. "Mom and Dad still don't get it," she continued. "They tried therapy for a while but quit when the therapist suggested they had done real damage to you. Dad still sends me articles about how family estrangement is a modern epidemic, like it's a trend, not a consequence. I almost smiled at that, it sounded exactly like him. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," Emma said, closing her notebook. "I just wanted you to know that someone in the family finally sees the truth. You did the right thing walking away." She stood up. "That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for listening." As she turned to leave, I found my voice. "Emma." She looked back, hope flashing across her face for just a moment. "I appreciate you saying that. It couldn't have been easy." She nodded. "It wasn't, but it was necessary." She hesitated. "How is she?" "Your daughter?" "She's thriving," I said honestly. "She's in the school play, has friends who understand her. She's happy." "Good," Emma said, and I could tell she meant it. "That's really good." After she left, I sat there for a long time, feeling strangely light. Nothing had changed, not really. We weren't going to be sisters again, not in any meaningful way, too much damage had been done. But something had shifted, some small weight I hadn't realized I was still carrying. That night, I told my husband about the meeting. "Do you believe her?" he asked. "I think I do," I said, "but it doesn't change my decision." He kissed my forehead. "You don't need external validation. You already know you did the right thing." Later, as I tucked my daughter into bed, she asked about my day. "I saw someone from my old life," I told her. "Were they mean?" she asked, her eyes serious. "No," I said, "not this time." She nodded, satisfied, and snuggled deeper under her galaxy print comforter. "Mom?" "Yes, sweetheart?" "Sometimes at school, when kids are mean, the teacher makes them say sorry, but it doesn't feel real. Was this a real sorry or a teacher made them sorry?" I smiled at her perception. "I think it was a real sorry." "That's good," she said sleepily. "Real sorries matter more." As I turned out her light, leaving only her star projector casting gentle constellations across her ceiling, I realized she was right. Real sorries do matter, not because they erase the past, but because they acknowledge it happened. I didn't need Emma's validation to know I'd made the right choice, but hearing it didn't hurt either. Maybe I went too far, maybe I didn't go far enough. All I know is that my daughter sleeps peacefully now, without that anxious fluttering in her chest. She speaks her mind without flinching. She knows her worth isn't measured by how quietly she can exist in a room, and that's enough for me. But now I want to ask you, if it were your child, would you have done the same? Would you have walked away, fought back harder, or let it go? Tell me in the comments what you would have done. Did I do the right thing, or did I cross a line? And if you want more stories like this raw, emotional, and honest, hit subscribe.